And it's great to have College Football Hall of Famer and North Carolina head coach Mack Brown joining us on SportsCenter. Coach, you've got your Heels on the verge of the school's first 4-0 start since 1997 during your first stint back in Chapel Hill. What kind of opportunity is this for your program this weekend?
Kevin, it's a great opportunity because, number one, we need to be 4-0, and not many people are 4-0 in the country. But secondly, anytime you're playing Notre Dame, you've got a national brand. And those guys are as good as anybody in the country. Notre Dame and Clemson have dominated the ACC over the last few years. And I think, in fact, Notre Dame's won 19 in a row in regular season ACC games. We've been in fourth quarter games for them for the last 2 years, but their toughness, their confidence, they've come out and won both those games. So this is a great test for us. It's a fun challenge to see if we're ready to take another step because they're really good. Everybody says, well, Notre Dame's struggling. When you open up with Ohio State, arguably the best team in the country, on the road with a new staff, that's not fair. And then you come back and have a struggling game that you're probably not as excited about with Marshall. And Kevin, I'm seeing now all these group of five teams are pretty good because they've all got transfers and they've all got quarterbacks. So you better look out every week that you play. And then I thought their last half last week against Cal, they looked like the Notre Dame we're all used to.
What concerns you the most when you watch film, especially when you look at the Irish's offense? What concerns you?
Their lines of scrimmage. They're top 5 recruiting class every year. They've got great linemen on both sides of the ball, and that's where football starts. And they can run the ball. And Drew Pine, their new quarterback that came in he's from Connecticut, did a tremendous job the second half last week. I first said, well, we're going to get to see him for a week. Well, that's better. Well, he was 4 for 9 the first half, and then he woke up and hit 12 out of 13 the second half and just did a tremendous job. And they've got big backs that can run the ball. They've got skill all over the place, Kevin. So this is the same Notre Dame. It hasn't changed. It's a new staff, and Marcus Freeman's a superstar that's about to happen. You look at his background. We actually played against him 3 times when I was at Ohio. He was at Ohio State, and we were at Texas, Kevin. But he worked for Jim Tressel. He worked for Luke Fickell, and he worked for Brian Kelly. So the guy's got a great background. He knows what he's doing. But a new staff on the road against Ohio State to start with is a pretty tough number to start out with. So they've gotten it together now, and we'll have our hands full this weekend.
Mack, I mentioned your first stint at North Carolina. Different times, college football completely different when you look at the landscape between the transfer portal, NIL, realignment. What's been the biggest challenge for you this time around?
I thought it was early signing date because that was so different. But since then, Kevin, in the 3 years that I've been back, we've added the transfer portal, and I don't think we added it properly. There's a lot of good things with the transfer portal. We've had some second-team players that have been able to transfer and go other places and start, and that's what the transfer portal's for. But we didn't have any guidelines. So now we're trying to clean up things that should have happened and should have been put some pre-thought in the transfer portal before we started. NIL, it's great for kids. Kids are getting paid. It's so many wonderful things. They're learning how to give back. They've got charities. They're learning how to pay taxes. They can now have an agent. They're having to grow up faster than ever, but we had no guidelines. The NFL's got more guidelines than we do. So that's what I'm concerned about, is that we're moving too fast and we're making decisions without finding out all of the ramifications, because there's consequences for every bad decision we make. I think it's tougher for mental health for these kids right now. It's tougher for college football. Everything is crazy out there right now. Like I said, everybody's got a good quarterback because nobody's going to have 2. The backup's going to leave, and he's going to go somewhere and play well somewhere else. So you better get ready to play every week. You've got to be masterful at roster management because it's so hard. We were talking today, who's going to go to the NFL, who's going to transfer, who's going to graduate. And then you add the COVID year, the crazy extra year to the transfer portal, and trying to figure out how many years everybody's gotten. what graduate program can you put him in if he's already got a graduate degree? Because some of these schools have got 25 to 35 guys, Kevin, that are 5th, 6th, and 7th year players now.
Yeah.
We got 24-year-olds playing college football against 18-year-olds, and that makes it difficult.
And that is a big gap. You mentioned things moving pretty fast, and that's a great transition. The video of you dancing in the locker room after the dramatic Appalachian State victory. We didn't see those moves when you were here with us on this studio, on this set at ESPN and ABC. What's going through your mind when you're celebrating with your players like that in the locker room?
Kevin, the first year, I'm Church of Christ, so we didn't dance. So we're having trouble with our team chemistry, and we're trying to get to know everybody our first year. So we have everybody tell their story. Well, there's some really tough stories for some of these kids. I was in a foster home. My dad's in prison, and it was really tough. So I told Dre Bly, our secondary coach, start a dance contest, and that'll be fun, and we'll rate them, and we'll do that. So I was the last one to tell my story, and at the end, the guy said, okay, you got to dance. I said, I don't dance. And they said, no, you told us you'd always be honest with us. You said you got to tell your story and you got to dance. Well, we were opening up with South Carolina, so I thought we're not going to beat South Carolina. We're not even good. We just won 2 games last year. So I said, I'll tell you what, if you beat South Carolina, I'll dance. I'll dance in the locker room, but not to Lynn, so I didn't think anything about it. So we beat South Carolina 28-24. We're walking off the field, and my wife, Sally, says, honey, you know you're going to have to dance. I said, oh, they've forgotten that. That's been 3 weeks. It's no big deal. I walk into the locker room, Kevin. I think I'm 69. I had a knee replacement a month before. There's no music. Our friends at ESPN are live with a camera, and the kids are yelling, dance, dance, dance. I've got no clue. So last year I didn't dance. We didn't play very well. They came back this year and said, okay, you got to dance. So we beat Florida A&M, and I danced. That's fine. I forgot it. Then we go have that 63-61 fourth quarter fiasco at Appalachian State. And I'm in there. I'm exhausted. And they said, okay, dance. And I said, really? Really?
Well, you
so
shook it.
Howard Eccles is my dance partner. He shows me what to do. He comes up. So we dance. After it's over, Sally says, how embarrassing. Oh, my gosh, that's awful. And I just thought it's great ratings for a 71-year-old to make a fool of himself having fun with his team. Yeah. So that's okay.
We love it.
As long as we win, we'll do it.
Hey, any promises this weekend? Will you do any type of dancing if you guys beat Notre Dame?
I have told the team I will dance every time they win a game. Last year I said conference championship. Well, we didn't win enough of anything. So I'm back to anything that whatever it takes to win, I'm going to do. Okay. Well, we'll be rolling if there's something that happens post-game if you guys celebrate a victory at home. Let's talk about your offense. Now, you lose Sam Howell to the NFL. It looks like your offense didn't even miss a beat. Drake May leads the ACC in passing yards, passing touchdowns, total QBR. What do you make of what you've seen from him and your offense so far? We've got great skill. We've got young skill, but it's great skill. And our offensive line will have a challenge. We'll know more about them Saturday afternoon because Notre Dame's so good in their front seven, and they're too deep. And they're better than anybody we've played to this point. But we've been so pleased with Drake. Drake May's a competitor. He's a 5-star recruit that committed to Alabama and flipped to us. He's grew up in a family where his dad was led the ACC in passing as a quarterback here at North Carolina, and his brother was a basketball player that won a national championship here, and his other brother was a baseball player at Florida that won a national championship. So he gets it. He understands about winning, and he's been so accurate. And that's been we saw it in practice, but you still got to see it transition to a game. We didn't do well on the road last year, Kevin, so you go to Appalachian State, a lot of pressure playing at their place, biggest game in their school history. He does really well there. So we'll see Saturday, but I think Drake May is a winner and a great young player, and we're excited he's here. Mack, he's also not shy. He made some headlines this week, throwing a little jab at your rivals in Raleigh. He said people that go to NC State just can't get into Carolina. He has since apologized. What was your reaction to that? Because the jabs that go back and forth, it's part of the college football and the college sports experience, right? Where it's your rival, you go back and forth.
What was your reaction when you heard that and then the apology?
Well, Kevin, he is one of the nicest young men I've ever been around, but he's fun and he cuts up. And you live on TV, and I was with you for 5 years. You have to be really careful now because people don't take jokes as funny as they used to. We're too serious about a lot of things. And one thing I've never done is poke fun at opponents or rivals, and that's just not who I am. A lot of college coaches do, and they have, and they poke fun at me, and that's okay. And when I was talking to Drake about it, he said, Coach, it's a joke. And he grew up as a Carolina fan that's been fighting everything NC State since he was a baby. His mother went to school here. His dad went to school here. His brother went to school here. So he's cutting up. And they said, what about NC State? He's probably told all of his NC State friends that joke forever. And here's a freshman quarterback that just was being honest and having fun and cutting up. And then we just said, let's be careful. Let's be smart. I don't want you to get so you're only coach speak and you won't laugh and have fun in your interviews, but also a lot of people at an NC State or a Duke or a Wake, the teams that are in our neighborhood that we play, might take that as offensive, and that's not what it was about at all.
Understood.
And I love him and I appreciate him. And he said after practice today, he said, Coach, I know it's not your deal, man. I'm sorry. I won't do it again. And I said, I got you. That's not the way we do things around here. So have your fun with your NC State buddies, but you don't have to share it with everybody in the country.
I can tell you, though, November 25th is going to be a heck of a lot of fun when you guys face off against the Wolfpack. Cannot wait for that. In the meantime, though, we will look forward to seeing you potentially dancing, maybe even this weekend. Best of luck here, and thank you, Mack.
Thank you, Kevin. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.